Hello students, this video is to help with an assignment on Delta Math. Incidentally, Delta Math is an extremely great free resource, so if you're a math teacher watching this video, you should check out www.deltamath.com and try to use it for your students. It's a good way to determine whether they have mastery over different things in algebra. But if you're a student and it says using the X-game method, you might be saying to yourself, well, what the heck is the X-game method? Well, when you see X-game method, you should think to yourself, this is very similar to the reverse box method of factoring. And we know that to factor a quadratic equation means to take this trinomial and turn it into a sum of a product rather of two binomials. So it's going to have something in the first parentheses and then something in the second parentheses equals 0. Now there are a couple of ways to do it, but this reverse box method is, this X-game method is a method that I haven't taught you. You could use whatever method you want though. So I'll show you how to do this. The first step says fill up the two boxes based on A, B, and C. And we're able to determine the A, B, and C values because they're right here in front of us. We know that the A value is equal to, new programs ready to be installed. Great. The A value is equal to 4 because it's the coefficient of the x squared term. The B value is negative 41, so B is equal to negative 41. We want to make sure that we get that negative sign because that's part of the B value. And my C value is equal to 10. It's positive 10 because there's a plus 10 there, positive 10. So now we have our A, B, and C values. It then says fill out the two boxes based on A, B, and C. If you were required to fill out this box, it's asking for B, you would probably just write in negative 41. Makes sense. This is not something that you've not seen before. Or in other words, this is something you've seen before. The top says A times C. Well, we do A times C for the reverse box method also. We got 4 times 10. That answer should be 40. So we'll type that in. And I'll sort of slide that into the box there. And then we're done with the first step of the X-game method. Okay, so when you press continue, or when you submit that, the next step it says is find two numbers. We're looking for numbers, and you can observe that here, that multiply to 40, and they add to negative 41. So this should sound familiar. This is your AM method. So what we're looking for is two numbers that multiply to 40 and add to 41. Well, one of the methods that I taught you to do that is to take the number, which is 40, and draw a T-chart underneath it. So we can just take a T-chart. That's a crooked line. And then we're looking for all the pairs of numbers that multiply to 40. And we could say, 2 and 20. We could also say like 4 and 10. We could also say negative 4 and negative 10. But none of these numbers are going to add together to give me negative 41. Well, one thing that I know is that this is 1 off of this. So I might want to use that number and 1. I know that 40 times 1 is going to give me 40, but it's not going to add to negative 41. So my correct answer should be negative 40 and negative 1. Those two numbers multiply to 40, and they add to negative 41. So those are the numbers that I've been looking for. I'm going to circle them up. And then I can just input them into Delta Math, and it'll allow me to continue. Alright, so we use negative 40 and negative 1, and Delta Math all of a sudden says, type in the A value next to X. Now, I understand why you might be a little nervous about this because this is a new thing that you've never done, but it says type in the A value next to X. And we know for a fact that our A value is equal to 4. So if all you have to do is type in that A value next to X, like that, I think you should be ahead of the game. So then some students are reporting to me, well, I typed in the 4 and it doesn't say anything. But let's read the whole sentence again. Type in the A value. Oh, next to X. So I guess all we need to do here is input one more character, and that would be an X. Come on, X. Come on out. Boom. And we just need one more X. So we put it here. As soon as you do that, it prompts you to do the next part of the game. Now the next part of the game says type in the reduced numerators and denominators. We have 4x divided by 40 and 4x divided by 1, negative 40 and negative 1 respectively, I should say. So on this side we have 4 divided by 40. That should simplify to 1 over 10, or 1 over negative 10, and we need that x to be in the numerator. And the only difference here is that the top number and the bottom number don't have any greatest common factors, so it should be just exactly the same. So what I did was I typed in the numerator, I typed in 1x, and the denominator I typed in negative 10. And over here I typed in the same exact thing because there were no common factors here, so I typed in 4x in the numerator and my denominator was simply negative 1. As soon as it did that, it prompted me to, in the next screen. So in this next and final screen I see, write the factored equation. So you might say to yourself, well, I have no idea what to do here, nothing here gives me binomials, but the thing that we just did, this x and negative 10, and this 4x and negative 1, should give you an indication of what to do. We know that this is x and negative 10, this is 4x and negative 1, so it seems to me that these two terms and these two terms can be placed inside of the binomials. So never having done this before myself, I substituted it into the parentheses here, and lo and behold, the computer told me what to do. So what I did was I typed in x minus 10 following x minus 10, and then for this side I typed in 4x minus 1. And as soon as I did that, it prompted me for the next section. So it populated this automatically, and then it said write the solutions for x below. Well, we know that at this point we have to take the two factors which are here and split them and solve them. So what I did on my piece of paper was write down x minus 10 and 4x minus 1 equals 0. And I know that in this case, when we have two factors, we can apply the zero product property, which means we can split this right down the middle and say, well, I know that since this times this is equal to 0, then it's possible that 4x minus 1 is equal to 0. And it's also possible that 0 is equal to x minus 10. And I solved both of those using the best algebra I've ever used. I just added 10 to both sides, and I got x is equal to 10. Very proud of that. And then for this side, there were two steps. I added 1 to both sides, so plus 1 plus 1. I got 4x is equal to 1. And then I divided both sides by 4. When I divide both sides by 4, I get x is equal to 1 divided by 4, so 1 over 4. That's also equivalent to saying 1/4, and you know that 1/4 is worth 25 cents, right? So I have two different answers for x is equal to 10, and x is equal to 1/4. Incidentally, this is the reason why I tell you guys, when you find the factors, don't just switch the sign to get the answer, because if you had switched this sign to get the answer, you would have gotten the answer of 1, and the answer is actually 1 over 4. So you always have to show that solution step, and that's why. I'm not just telling you so that you can waste a lot of ink and paper. Okay, so we have our two solutions, so I'm going to substitute those into the answer, and obviously for answer it says one solution, you have to select two solutions. Alright, so that was the X game method. Again, what we did was we tried to use this method just to factor, and we know that this method is also known as reverse box method. So even if you had no idea how to use this X game method, you would still have been able to factor this using the reverse box method. I'll post a video on that in a little while. Alright, good luck students, and I will see you back in school.